All right, Mom. Today I'm going to ask you a few questions, like always. And we're going to start with, is there any disasters that you remember throughout your life that stick out to you? Any hurricanes or tornadoes, fires, anything that sticks out to you that you remember?
Yeah, Hurricane Donna, when it come through Lakeland, I was just a kid. I may have said something in early videos about there was a gentleman my dad knew that owned a chicken farm out on 98.
Yeah.
And he drove over the next day and told my dad if we wanted to go out there and catch chickens to put in our freezer, that we could do that. And of course, Dad took all of his kids, and I wasn't getting out in the water
Yeah.
in knee high water trying to chase these drowning chickens. And they beating you to death with the water and the mud. Of course, my brothers jumped right out.
Yeah.
And my mom told my dad, she's not getting out of the car. He walks over the car. I'll never forget. He had a 1955 green Buick two-tone, dark green on top and light green with a strip of white. He had that, and he puts his head in the window. He said, "Let me tell you something, little girl." He said, "When this chicken's cooked, you can't put your feet under our table. Because if you don't catch a chicken, you can't eat chicken."
Yeah.
He turned around and walked away. And he goes on and catching chickens. I get out. Mama's watching me.
Yeah.
I catch a chicken. I throw him in the truck. I jump back in the car. Daddy said, "Little lady, you better get out and find a chicken really quick." Mama said she got her chicken and got back in the car. You can't deny her chicken.
That's right. All right.
Believe it or not, I was nasty at that time. I didn't want to get my hands stuffed.
Yeah. And
Kind
now,
of like Romley.
yeah. All right. Do you? So tell me just real briefly about your siblings and like your impression of them. Like what? Like a couple words about each one of them.
My oldest brother we always called him Buddy, but his name is Israel Lincoln after my dad. He's a junior. And he was kind of trouble. Go with Papa. Go with Papa. He was kind of
Close him up in there, Dad. Leave, so she'll leave him alone.
he was kind of a troubled kid. He was, after he got 8 or 9 years old, he got where he would steal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He would steal the lunch money out of the teacher's desk and bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I knew that, one day he showed it to me. He had a whole pillowcase full of change. Of course, lunch wasn't but 25 cents
Yeah.
at the time. But he had the whole corner. So I told Mama that he had all this change.
You ratted him out.
I ratted him out.
Yeah.
And of course he beat me up a couple times over it. But he went to like stealing jewelry and stuff from the neighbors.
Yeah.
He ended up about 13 in a juvenile homes. Even Sheriff Brandon Monroe Branham, that was a sheriff here.
Mm-hmm.
His wife didn't have kids, and he was a friend of my dad's.
Yeah.
And him and his wife took my brother to their house to work with him and try to get him out of it. He stole her rings and her wedding watch. He sold it to her neighbor for money. He was a rouster.
Yeah.
So from that point, they put him at the juvenile detention center down in Marianna, Florida. And actually, it's the one that's been investigated now from all the deaths that they buried boys there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he survived that.
Yeah.
But when he was about 15, they put them out to work at the Coca-Cola plant.
Mm-hmm.
And they would let them drink whatever they wanted. Well, he ended up with bad kidneys.
Because he was drinking alcohol?
No, he was drinking Coca-Colas.
Oh, okay.
The Coca-Cola plant would let them have as much as they wanted.
Yeah.
So that's how they got into work detail. That's how they trained them. But I've only seen him twice since I've come back to Lakeland. He was married to a lady, had a little girl, cute little girl. The last accounts I had of him, he had went to a bar and got into a fight with a gentleman. And I guess the guy was getting the best of him. They went outside and he got an iron pipe and he just about killed the guy. Last I know, he was back
in jail.
He was actually in prison.
Yeah.
So then my next brother would have been James, which he passed away when he was little.
Yeah.
Um,
What did he pass
that
away
was the
from?
sweetest little. That he and I were very close.
Yeah.
He actually ate a bottle of Bufferin that my mom left open.
Mhm.
She'd had a headache. She always had real bad headaches. And he ate that and ate the lining out of his stomach.
Yeah.
And they give him a sheep's belly, the lining off of a sheep.
Yeah.
And a couple years later, they give him a lining of a pig because they go quick because
Yeah.
of the certain things that humans eat that
Yeah.
sheep don't eat. Plus, he had asthma really bad, and he wasn't supposed to eat oranges, anything high in orange acid.
Yeah.
Well, he got in Daddy's tomato patch,
Mhm.
ate a bunch of tomatoes, and that same afternoon, all of us kids, if Mama emptied a jar of pickles,
Yeah.
we got the juice. We drank the juice. Well, what is that? That's
Yeah.
acid. He got into that, and he was having asthma. Whenever he'd have asthma attacks, they let him sleep in the room with me,
Yeah.
and he went into a coma. And I realized that I couldn't move him.
Mhm.
But between that all going on and him having an asthma attack, he ended up in the hospital. He died a couple of days later.
Damn.
But he and I, if you've seen James, you've seen Bernice. We were
Yeah.
each other's shadow. We both were little towheads.
Yeah.
We were a lot alike.
Yeah.
I think I had the mean streak. He didn't have a mean streak in his body. I had the little.
How old was he when he passed away?
He was 8.
8. Yeah.
No, I was 8 and he was 6.
Yeah.
There was only 2 years apart. And but we always called him Gorgeous George.
Yeah.
The blonde. He had blonde curly hair.
Yeah.
And but he would. That was Bubba to me.
Yeah, that
Like
was your
Myra
buddy.
calls you Bubba. He was
Yeah.
my Bubba. Larry, that's another shade of another color. I haven't seen him in years since my mother passed, and I think I stated that in one of my other.
Yeah.
But his wife was in the service, and she wanted a divorce because he had become very violent,
Yeah.
drinking like my
Yep.
dad, and come in and beat her and stuff. One night he decides he's going to take an ice pick to her,
Yeah.
and he hit her 42 times, about killed her.
Yeah.
He just barely missed her aorta.
Jesus.
He went into her bladder a couple times. A lot of organs were hit,
Yeah.
but they managed to save her, and he pulled 10 years federal time because she was in the military.
Yeah.
He could have only gotten 3 years because she survived,
Yeah.
but because she was in the military, he got federal time.
Do you think
And
he's
I-
out?
Yeah, he's out now because I've actually kind of nosed around
Yeah.
and put their names in, and him and my youngest brother are living at the same address in North Florida.
Oh, really?
But no, I won't contact them
Yeah.
because I've tried to help him before, and I think he must have messed up while he was in federal prison because I just recently, the last couple years, and he should have been out in 2004.
Yeah.
But just the last couple years, I've been able to kind of track him
him
and
down.
Jesse
Yeah.
both. And no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them.
Yeah.
Now Jesse, he didn't even get to see Mother before she passed, and she was in the Bartow Hospital. And I could look over and see my brother playing basketball at the jail.
Really?
And I wouldn't
Wow.
let Mom look out the window. If I see Mom getting up, I'd pull the blinds because
Yeah.
I didn't want her to see her son, and knowing
Yeah.
she was fixing to pass because she wanted to see him, and I did not tell her. He was just right
In
there
jail,
in jail,
yeah.
you know. Because I even called and not talked to them to see if they could let him come over,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and see Mom. And
They wouldn't let him.
no, because he had cut a cop up on Pine Street in Lakeland in a bar. He was getting rowdy and busting bottles and glasses and just being rowdy.
Yeah.
And cop come in, and when he got a hold of his arm, he pulled his knife and stabbed the cop in the arm.
Yeah.
So he got
Yeah.
some time out of that. But he's been in several. He's been in jail in Lake Wells, Haines City, in between now and then. because
Yeah.
I've kind of tracked him, you know.
Yeah.
But now I would say the last 5 years, neither one of them has been in jail.
Yeah.
So, but I don't see them.
Yeah.
They're all been in trouble. They've all alcohol. They let alcohol rule their life, basically.
All right. My next question. Tell me about if you remember or have a favorite teacher when you were in school.
Yeah, Mr. Wise.
Okay. What did he teach?
He was in my actually in whenever I went to school, it was still elementary. 6th grade was elementary.
Yeah.
That was your last elementary grade.
Yeah.
And he taught 6th grade. Actually, I had him in 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
And then he ended up, the 6th year, he ended up being the music teacher. And so I had him for for my regular classes, all of my regular classes, and also my music class. It was called Glee Club back then.
Yeah.
And, but he had a daughter that could not speak,
Mhm.
and she could not hear. And he would bring her to school, you know,
Yeah.
every once in a while when she was out, because she went to St. Augustine to the blind school and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't blind, but she was deaf.
Deaf. Yeah.
Yeah. And he would bring her, so that was her treat and our treat too,
Yeah.
because we kind of learned a little bit of sign language and
Yeah.
stuff. So that was kind of cool. And he was just a cool teacher. If you did something that he didn't like, he always talked to you and gave you another chance. He was a very fair teacher. He was not a hard teacher, but if you messed up again, out of the hallway you went.
Yeah.
And you were handed your work.
Yeah.
You didn't get no extra help. And you were graded exactly that way.
Yeah.
So, but I really liked him. He was a good teacher. He was very fair,
Yeah.
very patient. If you didn't understand something, he would come to your desk.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't care who you were.
Good.
But I think he gave us a lot of day-to-day living experiences too.
Yeah.
You know, how you should handle things.
Little life
So,
lessons type deal.
yeah, little life lessons.
That's good.
But he was really my favorite teacher.
All right. We'll finish up this time talking about Mary. Tell me your favorite attributes about Mary.
When she was little, she always smiled, and I called her my country pumpkin. She had this round face,
Yeah.
and I always called her my country pumpkin. Sometimes I still do. But she kind of, you know, in a way, you know, you could look at her and she just laugh or grin. She was a happy baby. A lazy baby, but a happy baby. She was a little on the lazy side. You try to encourage her, then you go off and leave her alone long enough, then she would do it.
Yeah.
So, but
What is there any specific memory that you have that sticks out in your head, like something funny that she did, or something moment y'all shared together, anything like that sticks out into your head?
yeah, I would say that when she decided that she liked hamburgers,
Yeah.
she would not eat a hamburger for a long time, fries only. And whenever she learned to eat hamburgers, you know, McDonald's would still give you the little boxes, even with the little cheeseburgers in them. They didn't wrap them at that time. They were little boxes. So one day we were coming home from McDonald's construction. She looks over and she sees this car going by. And she says, "Hey, Daddy, look. How big do you think that hamburger is?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the little carry-all things that go on top of a car.
Yeah, for like luggage and stuff.
For luggage.
Yeah.
But she said, "How big do you think that hamburger is?" We told her that was not a hamburger box.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, she didn't like hamburgers at first. She would not touch a hamburger. Now, if I cooked them at home and put them together, fine. But not at McDonald's or anywhere else.
Yeah.
But when
That's
she
good.
finally decided she was going to eat one, she realized they would come in a box.
And that's what she thought was.
Yeah.
That would have been a big one.
That would have been a big hamburger.
Well, thank you, Mama.
All right, baby.
I love you.
Love you too. Enjoy the park today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.